Mr. Gay Snell, coming to you from the land where the road meets the sky. I'm here to introduce you to Bill Dykes, who's going to talk to you about his latest project.
Welcome to Skyland TV. I'm Bill Dykes, bringing you my newest and latest Skyland video newsletter, a modern video newsletter where you can find out all the goings-on amongst some now 330 full-time residents up here on the mountain, as well as Warren County and the other 4 surrounding counties that make up our region. Learn about all the players up here and try to clear up some of the myths that float around and in your neighborhood so that you can learn and perhaps have a smoother and better time out here in the country in Skyland Estates. We'll talk about all the subjects they tell us not to talk about, and hopefully you'll be able to enter in to the discussion. And right now I'm on a commercial break, so we'll be back shortly. Stay tuned. Bill Dykes here with our free commercial, just because you need to know this stuff living out here in our 5-county region. The first one is the Northern Virginia Daily. This comes out Monday through Saturday. They mail it up here to Skyland, or you can get it at newsstands around town. All the local information you need to know in our general area. The next one comes out in the mail to us up here on Thursdays. You can also get this at newsstands. This is the Warren Sentinel. Very local news. You're going to find out especially about Front Royal and Warren County, all the various goings-on, from news to local entertainment and sports. It'll be right in here. Next one I want to show you is the Warren Frederick County Report. Also very local. You'll get entire Board of Supervisors and Town Council meetings recorded in here for you to read about what's going on in our area. Just as an example, I'd like to show you something that was in the paper. This is about Shenandoah Farms and roads that they were improving down there in the northern part of our county in Shenandoah Farms to try to bring them up to VDOT standards, which they're doing, and cutting the blue ribbons on them. And you can read all about what the county has done down there in the farms and what's been going on with this kind of an article in one of these local papers. Back to our regular programming. Time for super local news. Well, here it is. It's happening right in front of you, right as I speak. I'm running for office. It doesn't exist yet. I believe it's time for a new start up here in Skyland Estates. The Skyland Community Corporation is past its prime. It's past its points of diminishing returns. And we do have a Skyland Estates Property Owners Association, but I believe that it's also past its time. I've had feedback over the years from my friends up here, and they've said maybe we should start from scratch. And there is a good argument for that if we do a new organization, and I do believe it should be a Property Owners Association. We should do it under the Act, under Virginia's auspices that govern Property Owners Association, so that we could qualify for that municipal fund in case we get ourselves in trouble. They'll get us a Gucci lawyer. So this is the way I believe we should go. And really it has to do with, most immediately, road maintenance, because I believe if we just go to an administration mode, the people that really want to do our roads, and I do believe you could ask 2 of our representatives, first of all, our Board of Supervisors guy, Tony Carter, and the county manager, Doug Stanley, and they'll give you a real sales pitch because they believe our money collectively can go a lot farther than the way our money can go in each one of our little neighborhoods separately, the way it is right now. So that's the way I want to go. I want the county to come in and take over administering our roads. So that's where I stand on that. Now, I've had experience up here over the years. From 1994 to 2003, I presided over Skyland Estates Property Owners Association. I have this little neat guy plaque. And during that time, I watched over 3 really good projects. The first one was putting the culverts down there and the grate box to improve the parking where the children wait for the school bus. The next one that I presided over, and I didn't finish, I had my successor, but I helped out. I was still secretary when we did that, our new neighborhood sign. Let me tell you, when you want somebody to find you, a nice big sign like that is the best. And the third thing I did is that plot of land that is across from the entrance where Bifrost intersects Friesland Road. When you look up that mountain to try to get into our neighborhood, it was a little tougher than it is today. We had that landscaped. And so, make life a little bit easier. And it's a long story. Sometime I'll tell you about it. But those were my accomplishments in my time with the POA. And I would like to continue on. I believe this new organization, to make things possible, is that it's going to take a little bit more time. Possibly the principal positions of that sort of board of directors should be funded. In other words, pay them a little bit of money. Just like our board of supervisor person, you pay him a little bit of money. And our county manager, we pay him a lot of money. But he's got a lot of big headaches. So that's the way that deal works. Sometimes you get what you pay for. So that's my proposal and my plan. Now, where it comes from is my political affiliation, let's just say. I'm a possum party politician. And that says it all right there, my politics and my economic plan. And now already a few years ago, and we've been carrying it on my webpage and on YouTube, I have a video that has to do with that. And so, I've been Bill Dykes, and I would like your vote and everyone's cooperation on this. It's time to move into the 21st century. Thank you.
Awesome. Take one. My children are hungry. My dog needs a bone. I ain't got a job now, so I'm just driving home. An hour after sundown, and much to my delight, there's 5 pounds of possum in my headlights tonight. There's 5 pounds of possum in my headlights tonight.
Gay Snell here with a commercial moment. Coming soon to Bill Dyke's website will be his books that are now out of print. You have the very beginner book to teach you how to learn to play guitar, either with yourself or someone helping you. It's all right here. You'll want to get it. The other book is called Mr. D's Blues Guitar Book. If you'd like to learn to play blues on your guitar, this is where you begin. Keep checking the website. They'll be up there soon for your download.
I'm bringing a segment now that I always wished was here when we had our regular newsletter, and we would only get a little tidbit of it at the time about the history of Skyland. Right now I want to tell you the story of an area we call Jane's Corner. Now, where Jane's Corner is right at where Bifrost Road comes into Skyland off of Friesland Road. When you look at that piece of property that you have to look at when you look to your right up the hill to see what's coming downhill as far as traffic goes, that area that you're looking over is known as Jane's Corner, or what we dubbed it because it was inspired by literally this little gal who couldn't have been more than 5 feet tall. I can't see trying to get in the neighborhood when I tried to come in. Can't we do something about that? Well, I heard it so many times because she was the secretary of the Skyland Estates Property Owners Association at the time. And so we discussed it through several meetings and just finally got it together and pulled the money out of just donations. We had yard sales. We went around and knocked on people's doors. We bothered our friends and come up with the money to hire the bulldozer and re-landscape that. And it had been re-landscaped before that a time or two, but the last time before we did it, the guy that did the siding was a fellow named Chick Villeneuve. And I met him very briefly when we first moved up here in 1991, and then, daggone it, if he didn't pass away. But he was a great guy, and he stood over 6'2". Now, I never realized that had been eyeballed by him until later. And then when we went to doing it ourselves, I made doubly sure that our little gal, who was only 5 foot tall, was down there sitting in her car to get that view up the hill to make sure that we shaved a little bit more off the top of that hill. Now, one of the things that we tried to do, too, was plant something that wouldn't grow very tall, but I don't know, the way grass pollen and stuff is around here, you know. And I have to thank anybody that goes over there and mows that. But I would like to remind everyone, in doing that, that project took 6 years. Now, part of what took 6 years was, first of all, we don't own it. So going over there and doing anything with anything like that is a good way to get yourself in trouble. We had to contact the owner, talk to them about it, which, of course, they were glad to help us out, and, of course, let me know many times, and it probably still is that property is for sale. So I'll tell you. They were great folks, though. I'll tell you about them if you ever want to know sometime. Maybe buy that property. So that took a little while to pull together. Then the next thing we had to do was inform our neighbors up the hill. So I actually drove up the hill one day after we got permission and addressed Blue Mountain Property Owners Association with the story of what we were doing. Now, I thought the whole ridge at that time was Blue Mountain Property Owners Association. I was wrong. I didn't realize that some of Shenandoah Farms comes all the way up to there. I probably should have gone down there and informed them, but hey, who knew? You know, even part of the farms known as Friesland, what is that called? Seceded from them. So, you know, our ridge is an interesting thing. They needed to be informed, and of course everybody seemed to be in favor because it's sort of always been a kind of a Chinese fire drill as far as people coming in and out of our neighborhood. Nothing ever really formal at one time, and really still not too formal at this time. So we felt like at least if everybody could see better. So that's what it took, that amount of actually planning and collecting the money. And then when we had at it, a buddy of ours who served on both board of directors and no longer is in our neighborhood actually was the ramrod and directed the bulldozer driver and took us about a half a day, and there you have it. And ever since then, I've found it a lot easier to get into the neighborhood. So The most interesting thing about Jane, she and her husband Bob, when they moved up here, built the house known as the Pentagon House. It's at the end of Bifrost Road where it turns to the left and becomes Luchase Road. So that's their claim to fame. They built that house back in 1991, and Jane, bless her heart, lived to 97 years old. Great gal, and I'm sorry if you never met her that you really missed a really sensational person. And so that's how that story happened there. We did it all as a neighborhood, everybody pitching in where they could, and there you have it. The story of Jane's Corner. Bill Dykes here again. Well, as we wind down the program, I'd like to bring something to you that you don't usually see in a newsletter, and I'm going to put here just because it's amongst those subjects that we're not supposed to talk about. In this particular case, religion. Now, I'm not particularly known to be religious, but I will tell you that there is a God, and I'm a believer, and so I call this a Jesus moment. That's how it is. And the first thing I would like to talk to everybody about in this Jesus moment is the two things that the good Lord told them. The only rules. You've picked a religion that doesn't really need to have some kind of statue that you got to make, and whatever it is that you think you have to make it out of, and if it's heavy enough, got to hire 4 guys to carry it. You don't really need a building. At one time, he told them, you don't really need to build me a temple. You've been operating out of tents. So this is the kind of guy that we're talking about here as far as a supreme being. He had an unpronounceable name. And so this is what I'm talking about. And his first 2 rules, that being what they call the golden rule. And I don't think necessarily that you actually have to believe there is a God, because there are plenty of religions out there. Who knows exactly what they believe in, but they do believe this second thing, and that is how you treat your neighbor. And that's my second part of the subject of the golden rule. How you treat your neighbor. That's a sign that you've got inside of you at least something going on that has to do with being good-hearted, looking out for each other. And that's basically it for my Jesus moment. And I thank you for your time. And we'll bring you your next newsletter here shortly. I'm Bill Dykes, and I've been happy to be with you.
Gates now coming at you here with a free commercial. We'd like to invite everyone to John Wesley United Methodist Church in Front Royal at 14 Church Street. Every first Friday, there's a hymn sing there from 7 to 8. All are invited. Bill and I will be there too. We hope to see you.
This has been the new Skyland video newsletter. I'm Bill Dykes. Along with me has been my singing buddy, Gay Snell. And we hope you've enjoyed the program. And we'll be back at you shortly with our next edition of Skyland News. Thank you for watching.